Hello all you wonderful, beautiful, and craptastic people. CraptasticJack here. Today we're going to be talking about updates in the Crew 2 and why I think the updates are they're shit. They're shit and they need to be reworked. I mean, I'm probably going to put all these like critique videos with the Crew 2 underneath a hashtag the Crew 2 playlist. And all by memes, I want you guys to be using the hashtag as well. If you have any critiques of the Crew 2 and you've made videos on it, or you want to make a video on it, don't be afraid to use the hashtag Save the Crew 2. And I'm probably going to create a little playlist of showcasing different videos of people wanting the Crew 2 to get better, and your critiques and your opinions and your thoughts and what you think the game should have. Don't be afraid to use that hashtag, and I'll be able to put that in a playlist. I'm probably going to create the playlist after this video. So yeah, but basically today we're going to talk about updates and why I think the updates are not good. I mean, we'll just put it straightforward right there. The Crew 2 is such a bastardization of the Crew 1 that the game needs so many updates just to get to the point of the Crew 1. Now, the Crew, with all sequels, this goes for all sequels, a sequel to the game should have everything that made the original game great, but more. The Crew 2, they decided to remove half of what made the game great and force in boats and planes. Now, what's done is done. I can't go back and change history. As much as I would love to go back to Ivory Tower Studios and say, hey, knock it off, you can't change history. So the game's gonna need, especially for the future, the forecast for this game is gonna need a lot of fucking updates to even get to the point where it matches the Crew 1. So with that in mind, they really need to step it up. They need to put the pedal to the metal, literally, if they want the game to ever get to the point of the Crew 1. But it doesn't seem like they're doing that. Instead, we're getting content updates every 3 months. Now, every 3 months is way too long of a wait between content being added to the game. Like, I feel like they're very OCD, and I have really bad OCD, so I would know I kind of understand that. I feel like they're really OCD in the sense where they can't add anything to the game unless it's in like a major update. They can't add anything to the game. They can't do any hotfixes. They can't do any quick updates that really don't add much unless it's lumped together with other updates. There's nothing wrong with just having hotfixes or just updates and all that. Like small updates. Like, you don't have to wait for the big update at the end of the month to like add stuff into the game, to add fixes. And let alone when the fixes for seemingly minor issues are taking forever, like the headlights, they're still too dim at night. And then you also have like the line that people want to use, the GPS line, that's taking forever for them to implement to the game. But you know, I feel like Ivory Tower is in their own perpetual ivory tower, and look up the definition. You'll be surprised. It's pretty ironic. Where they don't really seem to understand what the community really wants. I mean, King of Mayhem, let's just try and dissect that. King of Mayhem, my estimation is going to be that King of Mayhem is going to be Demolition Derby. Now, Demolition Derby would be really cool for a game like the Crew 2 if we had everything that made the Crew 1 great, like just adding on. But where the game is right now, in the state where it is right now, Demolition Derby, you don't fucking need it. like you're not gonna, like, PvP, I understand it's coming in this update, but if they're focusing more time on whatever King of Mayhem is, then I don't really have high hopes for PvP, and that's a bit sad. Especially, I feel like they're working on more stuff that they want to add to the game, not necessarily what the community wants to add to the game. Like Gator Rush, I mean, you sit down 10 like massive people who play the Crew 1 and Crew 2, and you ask them, okay, would you rather have something racing oriented or something like hovercrafts and all that stuff? I'd say the majority of them would rather have something that has to do with cars and racing, like whether that be off-road or street racing, or like auto racing. Like the community mostly wants that type of stuff. I mean, there are people who like the Gator Rush stuff. There are people who like the planes and the boats. I like the planes and I like the boats, but it's not why I play the Crew 2, okay? So why the updates are prioritizing stuff that really the minority of the community really is asking for, not necessarily the majority. I mean, then again, I didn't go out with a fucking survey and ask. That's just from knowing the community well. Knowing what the majority, like what a lot of the people in the community want. So really, like, they seem to like, again, they're kind of locked in at this point with the updates until 2019. Hopefully this is the last update that takes 3 months. After this, we should be getting updates every single month. Not necessarily big content updates like Gator Rush, or if you could call Gator Rush big, pretty lackluster, or King of Mayhem. Like, you can keep those coming every 3 months, but every month there should be like a couple new races or a couple new things added to the game to keep content flowing. I mean, with the Crew 1, all the content kind of came out at once, and then it was dry. It was dry until another little splurt came out of the thing with Gator Rush, and after that it's dry again. It should be a constant flowing river, if you know what I mean. Not just dry and not dry. We shouldn't be having dry spells. That's what I'm trying to get at. But it should be constantly flowing with new content. And I feel like adding new stuff every month could really keep the game alive for a lot longer. And that's part of the reason why I feel like the Crew 2 is dead, is that they just haven't added anything post-launch until Gator Rush, and that was a 3-month period, and now they still haven't added anything again to another 3-month period till December. That's pretty much killed off a lot of the game, especially with PvP not being there at launch, or very close to launch. I mean, if PvP were released instead of Gator Rush, then I feel like this game would be a lot more alive than it is now. I mean, I saw the other day on the Steam charts. Now again, Steam is it's one of the many platforms that this game's on, but the game had a total of 154 people playing on Steam. That's fucking sad. That's pathetic, okay? So, like, if the PvP was out a lot earlier, that would not be the case, honestly. But they've delayed, like, releasing PvP in December is such a big fucking mistake that this game's pretty much on life support. PvP is pretty much just staying the execution for this game. The game's pretty much just on life support at this point. And honestly, if they fuck up PvP, then I don't really see this game recovering. I mean, they can try all they will, but I really don't see the game recovering. PvP, I feel like, can revitalize the game if it's good. It can revitalize the game to a point where they can kind of rebound and, like, rethink everything. Like, okay, shit, we kind of fucked up. We gotta rebound and do everything. And that's why with 2019, I want them to change up their update strategy, in the sense that they add more, like, hot fixes and, like, bug patches and all that a lot more regularly. Like, if a patch needs to come out, release it like then. Don't wait till the next update is when the next update is scheduled. Okay, release it then. Fix the game then. I mean, and then with content updates, especially after PvP, PvP is not something you just add and you're done. PvP needs to be constantly updated with new races, new balancing patches, new etc. etc. Like, it's not a once and done thing, like they did with the Crew 1, and that's where they really faltered with PvP in the Crew 1, so they just kind of stopped updating it. But they kind of got to keep updating it, especially a lot more often than they are now. Once they have PvP there, they got to be doing updates to that at least monthly. Okay? If they don't, the PvP is just going to die. The game's just going to... We're just going to get dry spells again. It's not going to be fun. It's just straight up not going to be fun. And I'm not going to sit here and waste my time wishing upon a star that they add new stuff to the game. I'm going to be busy, like, talking about Need for Speed 2019, because next year Need for Speed comes out, and if the Crew 2 does not hold my attention for that long, I'm jumping off this boat. I'm jumping off this sinking boat, or what's left of this sinking boat. Like, I want the Crew 2 to succeed. I loved the Crew 1, and I want the Crew 2 to succeed, but the Crew 2, again, is such a bastardization of the Crew 1, where as soon as it left the port, it already struck an iceberg. You know, it's not going to go that far. It's not going to float. The game's just going to sink if they don't patch it up really quickly. I mean, with PvP, again, it's like it has payback syndrome in the sense that the game is there's so much stuff missing from the original, the game before it, that they have to keep adding stuff back in that made the first game great, to the point where they can't focus on adding new things that would make the game even better than the first, but they have to focus on trying to get back to that high podium place where the first game was, that high position where the first game was, and that's sad, honestly. But what do you guys think? Honestly, next game, they need to have updates monthly, especially to PvP and new races, etc., etc. Like, new races, new content, new cars. Like, the 2 cars again, 2 cars every month, that's cool and all, but Forza's doing it better than you. They're adding, like, multiple cars every month. So, I don't see what you're getting at. But that's pretty much going to be just to my video. What do you guys think the Crew 2 should do with their updates? I think that they should just update it more frequently, every month at least, and then again every 3 months have a major update. And they also need to stop adding new disciplines and start working on adding more meat to the bones when it comes to multiple disciplines. But really, again, going back to my hashtag save the crew 2 moment thing, I don't want to be the only person like saying this stuff, you know. I mean, there's not really many people talking about the crew 2, especially because a lot of the crew 2 people who played the crew 2, like the crew 1, and covered a lot of the crew 1, they don't play the crew 2 on anymore, you know. And I don't really play it either. Last time I launched it was earlier today, and it crashed my internet. So yeah, thank you, the crew 2. I don't go on it often. I play the crew 1 more often than the crew 2, and that's a damn shame. Hopefully PvP brings some more content creators back into the fold. Hopefully it brings more people in, because the crew 2 is just dead. It's dying dead at this point, and it really needs those vault things that they use with people who are passed out. That's, I feel like PvP is gonna do that, but if the game survives, sinks or floats, it's really up to Ivory Tower at this point. There's not much. I mean, there's only so much we can do. There's only so much feedback we can give to Ivory Tower. I mean, it's up to them whether they save this game or not, and let's hope that they rebound in 2019, they save this game for the better, because I honestly want this game to be a strong contender when it comes to the 3 major racing games, Forza and Need for Speed. Okay, I want this game to be a major contender. As of right now, it isn't. It's just again a bastardization. I'll say that to the cows come home. That's honestly what the crew 2 is. But what do you guys think about this? Be sure to leave your comments in the comment section below. That's going to be all for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see some more craptastic content, be sure to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you don't ever miss an upload. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch and join my Discord to be able to chat with me and some others. That's all for now, guys. Have a good one.